Hello everyone, welcome to Module 11, Authentic Materials. In today's lesson, you will study specifically about one kind of supplementary materials, that is, authentic materials. Specifically, by the end of the lesson, you will be able to first, recognize different types of authentic materials and their purposes for use in language teaching. Second, evaluate the effectiveness and suitability of different types of authentic materials to their teaching philosophies and their particular teaching situations. Third, design learning activities that suit their teaching philosophies and their particular teaching situation. The lesson is divided into two parts. In part 1, you will get to know the definition of authentic materials. Then, you will study types, purposes, and use of authentic materials. In part 2, you will learn how to design authentic materials. Now, let's start. Let's have a look at the examples of authentic materials. Tell me, where can you find these? This is the car park rule. This is the New York Times. Familiar? This is the menu in a restaurant. And this is a brochure. Okay, you have seen them. What do they have in common? They are not specifically designed to teach English. They are generated by native speakers. They aim at native speakers. They are authentic materials. Can you define authentic materials? I will give you 30 seconds for you to gather ideas and make a definition of authentic materials. According to Tatsuki 2006, authenticity is taken as being synonymous with genuineness, realness, truthfulness, validity, reliability, undisputed credibility, and legitimacy of materials or practices. According to Rogers and Medley, 1988, authentic materials are the materials generated by native speakers and for native speakers. Now, can you list some kinds of materials? As you can see on the list, we have songs, radio news, TV shows, commercials, realia. Realias can be like tickets, road signs, bills, letters, and so on. You can also see menus, maps, newspaper articles, advertisements, books, videos, catalogs, and so on. As you can see, there are so many kinds of authentic materials. They are available around us. Authentic materials should be used in the classroom. Then, what are the advantages of authentic materials? Can you spend 1 minute and list out the advantages of authentic materials before we move on? The advantages include: first, they have a positive effect on learners' motivation. Learners are interested to find out what the teenagers at their age are doing in the other countries. Second, they provide authentic cultural information. By reading the authentic materials, students can know about the culture in the other countries. Next, authentic materials provide exposure to real language. Yes, they can learn the real language that does not appear in the textbook. They are the language used in daily life. Next, authentic materials relate more closely to learners' needs. They need the language so that they can communicate with the other friends in the world. Next, authentic materials can support a more creative approach to teaching. However, authentic materials have such disadvantages. First, they may be too culturally biased, because students, without judgment, they can think that this kind of culture is typical of one country. Second, the vocabulary might not be relevant to the students' intermediate needs. They may have so much vocabulary that is not related to the topic that they are studying about. Next, too many structures are mixed, so lower-level students have a hard time decoding the text. Very importantly, authentic materials need special preparation. So, it is very time-consuming to prepare a lesson using authentic materials. Final thing, the materials can become outdated easily. For example, the news that you take today and teach your students may become old the very next day. Now, you have known what authentic materials are, as well as their advantages and disadvantages. Let's go to learn, read, to know how to use them. Let's check together. To use authentic materials wisely, we have to put it under thorough considerations in terms of authenticity, interest, background knowledge, language, text organization, and students' level. Among these, the most important thing to consider is authenticity, including text authenticity, learner authenticity, and task authenticity. Text authenticity is the origin of the materials. Learner authenticity is the learner's interaction with them in terms of appropriate responses and positive psychological reaction. According to Wilson, 1980, proper interaction between learners and materials will not occur unless the learner can respond to the materials appropriately. This suggests that authenticity can only be achieved when there is agreement between the materials, the writer's intention, and the learner's interpretation. However, this seems that this view needs to be expanded, since whether the congruence can be attained also depends partly on the learner's affective and cognitive responses to the materials, his or her perception of their inherent interest and usefulness. Therefore, learner authenticity should refer not only to appropriate responses to the materials, but also positive perception of them. Task authenticity is a task which involves learners in using language in a way that replicates its use in the real world outside the language classroom. Filling in blanks, changing the verbs from the simple past to the simple present, and completing substitution tables are therefore not authentic tasks. So, what are authentic tasks? Examples of authentic tasks would be answering a letter addressed to the learner, arguing a particular point of view, and comparing various holiday brochures in order to decide where to go for a holiday. There are 4 schools of an authentic task. Number 1, authenticity through genuine purpose. Number 2, authenticity through real-world targets. Number 3, authenticity through classroom interactions. And number 4, authenticity through engagement. According to Varianto and Molly, 2001, authenticity through genuine purpose. One of the crucial aspects of task authenticity is whether real communication takes place. Whether language has been used for genuine purpose. In tasks, the emphasis should primarily be on the meaning and communication, and this is something which replicates the process of communication in the real world. In this kind of interaction, students have a chance to interact naturally in real time to achieve a particular communicative goal. By this, students can increase their fluency and natural acquisition. Authenticity through real-world targets. Pedagogical tasks must relate to real-world target tasks. Examples of real-world target tasks include buying a train ticket, renting an apartment, taking lecture notes, and such. The target tasks are identified following a neat analysis of the task which the learners are preparing to undertake. A task might be said to be authentic if it has a clear relationship with the real-world needs. Next, authenticity through classroom interaction. Rather than focusing on real-world situations outside the classroom, the most authentic activities exploit the potential authenticity of the learning situation. For example, we can put students in pairs or in groups to discuss, evaluate, and report on the usefulness and appropriateness of teacher feedback and different kinds of homework tasks. And this is very process of negotiation of meaning that is authentic. Last but not least, authenticity through engagement. Authenticity of task might be said to depend on whether or not a student is engaged by the task. Just as genuine text may seem inauthentic to certain groups of learners, so tasks which are authentic by any of the above criteria can appear inauthentic to certain learners. This is probably the most crucial type of authenticity, because unless learners are somehow engaged by the task, unless they are genuinely interested in its topic and purpose, and understand its relevance, the other types of authenticity may count for very little. Now you have known about authenticity, let's go to the next video to answer some questions about using authenticity in our lessons.